Hey, hello, and how are ya? I am getting ready to turn 40 in little less than 2 weeks. So this week I've decided to treat myself since I am officially an old lady, I guess. In an effort to make me feel young and carefree and just kind of, get me through my 40th birthday, I decided to make myself a 40th birthday dress. I have been coming in this fabric line that I've seen in Joann's for about the last 2 years, and it's the Liberty Fabrics line, but the price point of them at $35 a yard, and you can't use any coupons on them, kind of hindered me into purchasing enough to make a dress. But since I am turning the big 4-0, I've decided to buckle down and pay for it. So I decided to go with a sleeveless dress, hopefully enough yardage. I got 4 yards of this cotton lawn. I think it feels like silk, and at $35 a yard, I mean, it feels every bit of that $35 a yard.
A lot of the Liberty fabric prints are reproductions of old William Morris designs. The print that I picked out is called Strawberry Thief and is one of Morris's most popular designs.
My idea is to make it out of Butterick's B6674, this nice little summer dress. It's a sleeveless, button-down summer dress. I do want a fuller skirt than what this is, so instead of just cutting out, I believe, just 4 panels, I'm going to cut out 8. It'll give me a nice swishy circle skirt that is gathered in the waist. You guys have seen my struggle with trying to fit these box patterns to my body. It usually takes me a really long time to cut out a mock-up and piece it together and actually get a wearable garment out of this pattern. So I'm going to try to use an existing pattern that I've already mocked up. I'm going to use my red linen button dress that I've made. It has very similar things of this Butterick's pattern, princess seams, and it is a front closure. The only thing is, in this dress, it is a higher neck than the Butterick. So I'm going to actually cut out the pattern in my size out of here and compare it to this pattern that I've already done in my red linen dress, and maybe tweak just the neckline and see where we go from there. I plan on making at least the bodice fully lined. I am going to line it in this nice just regular cotton pink because it has these berries in it. I think that would look nice, because I also picked up these lipstick pink buttons from Joann's, and I think it will be a nice contrast and kind of allow these strawberries to pop out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting out patterns and see how much I can do before I have to start making dinner.
To try to cut down my mock-up time, I laid the box pattern over my red linen dress pattern and took up the waist and tried to match up the armpit lines.
Alright, it's feeling still a little bit loose in the bust line. It feels pretty good right here when I put it together, but it's like gaping right here. So I thought it was like I would take it out of the seam line, but I wonder if I just pull this tighter, the top tighter across, and draw a line from here up, if that will fix my issue. Because once I pull it tight, it doesn't feel weird. I do still have this line right here though. Alright, so that did not work at all, and I still have this bunching right here. So I honestly don't know. I'm not very happy with this fitting. I am happy with my red linen dress fit, so I'm going to scrap this mock-up, pull that pattern out, and try to adjust this neckline, and I'll just have to cut 2 pieces out, and I think actually that will probably look better with the pattern I have. So I feel like it just wasted like 3 hours. Okay, so I tried on my red linen dress. I'm gonna take this dress that I really love the fit in and kind of adjust it a couple of ways. One, I want to do kind of a scoop neck instead of like this V neck, so I just placed pins where I thought maybe where I could just cut out that corner and kind of scoop it a little bit. Another thing that I'm going to want to do is I want to take this shoulder seam in a little bit to create a tank top dress instead of the shoulder sitting this way. I want it to come up just a little bit. As far as fit, this dress fits loose, which I think fits very well with the loose sleeves. However, for a tank top dress, I feel like if I don't tighten this up, you're going to be able to see my bra. So I'm just going to probably take in a 1/2 inch, maybe just right there, and just taper it into the waist. I'm also at the point of figuring out if I want to keep the waist down here or if I want to bring it up to where my natural waist is. I think I'll just cut my mock-up up to where this is right now, and then I'll try it on and see if I like the way the waist fits. If not, I can always bring it up. So let me try to figure that out. Well, that's not my face. Try again. Okay, so I feel like it feels pretty good. The only thing that is wrong is the shoulder is a little loose. But overall, I like the fit. I like the ease of it. It doesn't feel too tight or anything. And it also doesn't feel like my front neckline is going to gape. Taking an existed kind of fitted pattern that I've already worked about and tweaking it just a little bit definitely saved a lot of time. I'm definitely going to use this tactic in all of my patterns that I'm going to try to do, because it is a headache to try to make a mock-up of a brand new pattern that you've never even touched. Some tweaks that I am going to do is I am going to take the shoulder in. I've tried to pinch what I could, but it's awkward. So I'm going to take this off and maybe pinch like 1/2 inch and then put it back on and see how it feels. That actually feels much better. It's a little bit tighter right there. I'll worry about this later. I'll probably cut that out. I am probably going to cut just a tiny corner of this neckline. And right now I have the shoulder seam back farther. I think when I do my final mock-up or my final pattern, I will make this right here just one piece. So overall, pretty good. I'm going to make some tweaks and do another mock-up before I cut into that really expensive fabric. Alright, so I'm pretty darn pleased about how this is fitting. The gaping in my back feels pretty good. I think I'm ready to cut it out. I am going to make it on a note on this pattern, so I'm going to just go ahead and like take this apart and use this as my pattern, but I'm going to make a note that I would want the outside fabric to extend maybe 1 inch or maybe 5/8 of an inch out, so when I go in and sew it all together, I can flip that under for my button band, and then that way if I gape or anything, I won't be able to see the lining in the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and rip all of these seams out, get my lining and my fashion fabric, and go ahead and cut that. I'm excited to have a new frock. Yay! Okay, so I was going to line this dress with this Kona cotton that I got from Joann's just a couple weeks ago, but it's really stiff and it's kind of itchy, and I don't think it will do very well as a lining. So I remembered in my closet and in my stash, I had this 18th century petticoat that I made for the pandemic, thinking that I was going to make like a reproduction 18th century. It's been sitting in my closet. It's a nice like cotton sateen. Actually, I did buy this at Joann's a couple years ago, but I wish they would bring back their cotton sateen because it's such a nice fabric and it's cotton. So I have an entire petticoat plus a little bit of the remnant. I'm going to use this remnant to cut the lining out. Hopefully I have enough, and then I will probably disassemble this petticoat and use some parts of it for hem tape for the bottom. I am lining this dress with a contrasting fabric because I think it would just make it extra special. I like the Sonde Floor dresses where in the pictures you see the models like kind of flick their skirt and you can see underneath into the white little hem tape. I kind of want that kind of look for this dress. This is my back piece, and I wanted to try to do some pattern matching or some lineup. So I want this motif to run center back and cut it as like one to try to line this crease up to what this motif is and keeping all of the berries as in line as possible, as much as possible. It's probably not going to be perfect, but it'll be close enough for me. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and unfold this and pin it. Okay, so I have my fabric on the floor right here. So I'm coming into a little bit of problem. So the butterick pattern that I'm kind of I'm just getting the pattern with the skirt off of. It gives you like layout directions for a fabric that is 45 inches and 60 inches. Well, mine is 56 inches. So it looks like I'm going to have to cut out each of these skirt panels individually. I'm not going to be able to fold them. And the way that the pattern is directionally, I can't really just like fold it lengthwise or widthwise, because I needed to make sure that the pattern at the top of the skirt is the same all around, so I have that horizontal visually line kind of just matching up with everything. So it looks like I am going to be cutting out these panels individually. The pattern says that I need to cut out just 4 skirt panels. I have about 3¼ yards left of my fabric after cutting out my top. So I'm going to see how many panels I can get out of this, because as is, the pattern only gives us a half circle skirt and I kind of want it to be floofier. So I know for sure I can get 4 panels out of this, but you know what? I can always go back to Joann. Okay, so my plan is to get everything lined up is I'm going to match the side tab together. So every place where it has like these double tabs where we usually line them up when you sew them, I'm going to line them up on the pattern. I don't know if this is going to work, but I hope it works. I'm going to line it up on a line that has the birds with the strawberries, and then therefore when I put it all together, hopefully it'll all match up. Eli, what'd you do? Yay! After several days of cutting out mock-ups, fitting them, cutting out a new pattern, cutting out the final pattern, seam ripping that so I can actually use that as a pattern to cut out my fashion fabric and my lining, I am finally ready to sew. So I did end up going back to Joann's to grab another yard of this fabric. The 4 yards of fabric that I originally got was able to get me the bodice, pockets, and I believe 4 panels, and I really wanted 6 panels, so I went back. Okay, I already took the time to serge all the pieces that I needed that will have exposed seams, like the side panels of the skirt as well as around the pockets. And since I'm not really using a pattern, I needed like an order of it, so I took the time to write out my order. I'm gonna go ahead and get started doing the stay stitching on all of the curves and hopefully knock some stuff out today. So while really fiddly and just pain in the butt to sew, doing the understitching, in my opinion, is worth it if you are doing a lining in something that is nice. You know, I did spend a lot of money per yard on this dress, and I took the time to tailor it to my own body, that I should take the time and construct it so the finished garment kind of just lays nice and it just looks presentable. It kind of just, you know, elevates your home sewn garment from looking like a home sewn garment to something that you know, maybe a professional could have done. All in all, although this process is a pain in the butt, is definitely worth it. This is what it looks like after you're done understitching, and it kind of makes just pressing and turning the lining in so much easier. See how it like already wants to like move under, and so when I press it, it will automatically fall under my fashion fabric, and so I won't get any of that rolling, and you won't see the lining from the outside, which is really cool. Good morrow, my friends. I am drinking a much needed cup of coffee in my lovely Standing Stones cup, which by the way is in my Etsy store if you would like it. Today I am playing catch up, actually. I stayed up until 9 o'clock. I know, 9 o'clock, woo, staying up. That's actually pretty late for me actually working. I'm generally like brushed my teeth in my pajamas in bed reading by 9 o'clock because I'm an old lady and there's no shame in my reading old lady game. But this is what I have so far. I'm glad that I kind of took the time and did everything right, because today hopefully will be easy breezy, lemon squeezy. Today I am going to try this on for the fit. I am going to check the width band of the button band, the button band on it, put in the interfacing to have some structure at that button band, and then move on to the skirt, which should be pretty easy. I'm going to lay out my skirt pieces, figure out where my pocket is going to be, and once I sew the skirt on and sew the lining under, I'm going to have to hang this guy up for at least 24 hours in order for the material to settle to where it's going to finally be. Since I did cut a circle skirt, it is on the bias, so I wanted to definitely make sure I don't have a wobbly hem with my finished project. So I'm going to finish drinking my coffee, which I only have like 2 sips left, and get to work, and I will check in a little bit. Which, by the way, it is like May 4th and I'm still wearing a wool sweater in Missouri, which is bonkers. Usually it's pretty hot by now, but I don't know, we're having a very, very late summer. Let me know if you're having a late summer too. I'm a gardener too, and so it's extremely frustrating because I want to get out and like see all of my pretty flowers, which are still like this tall because it has not been hot enough. But at least it gives me time to work on my birthday dress. Alright, so I thought I would do a little try on, and everything feels good. I don't have to cut any more of the center front closure. However, I'm a little loose right here, and I'm worried that once I put the weight of the skirt on it, it'll pull it down. You can move closer and you can see the top of my bra right there. So before I move on to the skirt, I'm going to pinch in probably about 1 inch and taper it just a little bit. So once I put the weight of the skirt, hopefully it won't pull down. So, and by the way, I'm really, really cold, so I'm gonna put my sweater back on and try to figure that out. Alright, so I'm going to try to explain my skirt layout. Hello, Eli. I'm going to sew these 2 panels together and then these 2 panels together and then put my pocket in and sew that seam down. Do the same to this side of the dress, and then I will sew that back seam to make it easier and manageable on my sewing machine, so I'm not going to have to wrestle with all of this fabric all at once trying to do pockets. This is what the pocket support looks like after I sewed it in. I ended up just putting it in between the seam allowances on the pocket, and then I tacked it or basted it up into the waistband, and I went ahead and did the same thing, tacking the pocket into the waistband. And on this side, I reinforced, well, you can't really see it. And I went ahead and reinforced the pocket with a couple of double stitches right here, just so it wouldn't tear when I use the pocket. Okay, so I am finally at the place where I need to decide whether or not I want to put the stabilizer, what are the interfacing? So the interfacing is where the button band is. So I want to put interfacing on either side of the buttons, or either side of the flaps, or on both sides of the flaps. There we go. In order to have it just sit nice, one, and also stabilize the buttonhole, and thinking that I am going to measure for the interfacing in the skirt and not put it on yet. I'm not going to like sew the buttons or put the buttonholes on until after I know the skirt has settled, because I don't want puckering of the front skirt. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I think I need to measure 2 inches on either side of the skirt where the button is going to be, and then from there I can do my gathering stitch and then gather it and put it on my bodice. So I think I am going to go ahead and put the interfacing on my bodice so that when I stitch everything together, I don't have to try to fuss with the bodice portion. That I just have to be careful or be aware of the skirt. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It is after lunch. I only have a couple of hours. I have about 3 hours to be exact for me to work today. So hopefully in the 3 hours I'll be able to do this, hang it up, come back tomorrow. The one thing about not having directions is that you, after so many mistakes, you learn to like double guess yourself or double think what you're doing. I was going to go ahead and sew the interfacing down, the interfacing flap down on the bodice, but I forgot that I have to put the skirt in if I want to tuck in the lining and have a nice finished edge there. So I didn't. I just did iron it down, made all my folds and everything. So now is the task of gathering my skirt into my bodice. So I have already done my gathering line, and now I just gotta figure out, it's a big skirt, friends. Look how big that is. Oh, it's gonna be so twirly. I'm so happy. I need to figure out where my back is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. So right here is my back. This is my center back. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start gathering it onto my bodice and sew it. Hello and welcome back to hopefully is the final day of making my strawberry thief dress. Yesterday I was able to kind of prep everything before I called it quits for the night. Some hand sewing needs to be done today. I need to hand stitch the lining flap down on the skirt and the bodice. I also need to make some bias tape. I hung my dress up overnight. Hopefully that settled the seams of the skirt and the circle skirt. What I'm doing right now is I'm taking apart my hand stitched 18th century petticoat that I never wear, and I'm going to be using this to make some bias tape to do my hem. I also need to sew the buttons and the button holes, and then I will be done. And that's what I'm going to be doing today, just kind of finishing this up. It's starting to warm up. I just checked the weather. I think it's supposed to be 80 degrees. Yay, finally.
Summer is now almost over and I have no idea where the rest of my footage is, but it was probably boring stuff anyway. So here is my completed 40th birthday strawberry thief dress. There are some fit issues on the bodice, but overall I'm pretty pleased with my new dress. My favorite parts are the contrasting buttons and the peekaboo hem when I move and twirl. If you have made it this far, you are awesome, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.
That's wind.